Most people think the Iranian Revolution happened because people were poor, because they were religious, because they were angry. But revolutions are rarely born from emotion alone. They are born when a financial system breaks the invisible contract between ruler and ruled. And in Iran, that contract was rewritten by one family, the Pahlavis, who discovered that oil could do something taxes never could. It could make a government rich without needing its people. And that is where the story begins. Welcome to Time and Money Tales, where money, power, and history collide. And nothing is ever as simple as it looks. In 1921, Iran was not a powerful nation. It was fragile, fragmented, humiliated by foreign interference. Britain and Russia treated it like territory on a chessboard. Tribal leaders held local authority. The treasury was thin. The state was weak. Then a military officer stepped forward, Reza Khan. He was disciplined, ruthless, ambitious. Within a few years, he would crown himself Reza Shah Pahlavi. But this was not just a political takeover, it was a financial one. Reza Shah understood something fundamental about power. Whoever controls revenue controls reality. He built a centralized army. He crushed tribal autonomy. He nationalized vast lands. He constructed railways not just to connect cities, but to connect authority. Tehran became the nerve center of a new Iran. Power no longer flowed outward from communities. It flowed upward into the palace. One family, one state, one funnel for wealth. But the true transformation came not from railways or reforms. It came from oil. Beneath Iran's soil lay one of the most valuable assets on earth. And for decades, much of it was controlled by foreign interests, especially the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. The resource was Iranian. The profits were not. When Reza Shah's son, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, inherited the throne during World War II, he inherited something even more powerful than a crown. He inherited leverage. In the early 1950s, a nationalist prime minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, attempted to nationalize oil completely. For a brief moment, it seemed the monarchy might lose its grip on the economic engine of the nation. But geopolitics intervened. In 1953, a coup backed by Western intelligence restored the Shah's dominance. And from that moment forward, the financial architecture of Iran shifted dramatically. Oil revenue surged, especially after the 1973 oil crisis. When global prices exploded, Iran's income multiplied almost overnight. Billions of dollars flooded into state coffers. And here is the critical mechanism. Most governments depend on taxes. Taxes create accountability. When citizens fund the state, they demand representation. They demand transparency. They demand limits. But oil changed that equation. The Shah no longer needed to tax his population heavily. He could fund the military, infrastructure, modernization, and vast royal projects directly from oil exports. The state was financed by global markets, not by its own people. And when a ruler does not depend on citizens for revenue, he does not need their consent in the same way. This is called a rentier state, a system where natural resource income replaces taxation. It is incredibly powerful and incredibly dangerous. Tehran in the 1970s glittered with ambition. Skyscrapers rose, highways expanded, Western corporations entered. The Shah purchased advanced weaponry, turning Iran into one of the most militarized nations in the region. On the surface, it looked like unstoppable modernization. But beneath the prosperity, something fragile was forming. Because oil money doesn't just create wealth, it concentrates it. Royal foundations accumulated enormous assets. Key industries were controlled by networks loyal to the palace. Political opposition was suppressed by SAVAK, the intelligence service. Parties existed, but power did not circulate. Inflation rose. Corruption whispers spread. Rapid modernization disrupted traditional structures faster than society could adapt. And because the state no longer relied on citizens for revenue, it stopped listening carefully to them. This is the paradox of oil wealth. It insulates leaders from immediate pressure, but isolates them from reality. By the late 1970s, protests grew, not just among the poor, but among students, clerics, merchants, and professionals. The coalition against the Shah was broad because Resentment was not merely economic, it was structural. People did not just want cheaper goods. They wanted voice, and voice cannot be bought with oil revenue. In 1979, the illusion shattered. Mass demonstrations filled the streets. The Shah, once appearing invincible, left Iran. Within months, a dynasty that had centralized power for more than 5 decades collapsed. Oil had built the system, oil had funded its insulation, and oil had delayed the warning signs until they became impossible to contain. Here is the deeper lesson. The Pahlavi family did